Steve Bannon has been indicted for contempt of Congress over his refusal to hand over documentation detailing his possible involvement with January 6th. So now he recently live streamed himself, turning himself into the FBI as promotion for his show. Ah, yes, of course, promotion. So that kind of tells you that this entire thing is pretty much a joke for him. Speaking of a joke, Bannon's new attorney went on with CNN's Brianna Keilar. And, well, it was interesting, for sure. After spending about 10 minutes going back and forth with about executive privilege, which is funny because Steve Bannon was fired from the White House, the Trump White House, early on in that administration. So, and by the way, executive privilege, he was fired, and Donald Trump is no longer the president. Why are we still having a conversation about executive privilege? But nonetheless, after that discussion, which wasn't even the best part, she decided to ask David Schoen, who is Bannon's new lawyer, about his legal strategy. Now, before I get into that video, let me just show you for context, because this is what Keilar showed him as well. This is what Steve Bannon had said on January 5th.
All hell is going to break loose tomorrow. Just understand this. All hell is going to break loose tomorrow. It's not going to happen like you think it's going to happen, okay? It's going to be quite extraordinarily different. And all I can say is strap in. The War Room, a posse. You have made this happen, and tomorrow it's game day. So strap in.
Look, I look at that and I see Bannon foreshadowing what was going to happen the next day. All hell is going to break loose. I don't really think you can interpret that as anything other than some sort of upheaval, which we know is what happened, upheaval and violence. And he knew about it. He knew about it. So, hey, there it is. You would think that that would be all the evidence that you would need. But again, apparently not. We'll have to see. That said, the lawyer, where he came in is, well, he was asked a series of questions that he, for some reason, didn't have any answers to. He struggled. Take a look.
Are you going to request a trial by jury or by the judge?
I don't know. I don't know that yet.
And you have a right to be tried within 70 days of indictment. Do you intend to exercise that right?
I don't know any of those things yet, Frank. I just got into the case, but all of your questions are good questions. I didn't mean to single out one.
Will your client be fundraising off his indictment?
I don't know anything about that.
Will you advise him not to?
I don't advise about things like that, quite frankly. I'm here just to defend the case.
You're saying he had no foreknowledge of the events that played out on January 6th.
First of all, I'm not in a position to speak on his behalf about any foreknowledge, knowledge,
yes, you
or
are.
otherwise.
You're his lawyer.
I just met him yesterday. I met him yesterday for the first time. I'm his lawyer defending against a criminal contempt charge.
Nailed it. Wow. Well done. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I just met the guy yesterday. It's my first day. But then went on to say, well, I met I met Bannon, but I didn't think that he was, I don't think he's capable of violence. I don't know. What are you talking about? Hey, he didn't mean violence. Well, here's the thing. At least he's honest. He sure as hell does not know Steve Bannon. I know Steve Bannon. I know who the guy is. I've been talking about him for quite some time. Steve Bannon is a white nationalist. He believes that immigrants are dirty and are coming to destroy this country, and that he's got to defend Western values, and that the Democrats are helping the immigrants take over and must be defeated using whatever means that they have. Because it's not just about politics. No. This is about saving Western society. That's what Bannon believes. Now, this man, all the way back from when he was literally running a gold farming business in World of Warcraft on behalf of Goldman Sachs, his employer. This man figured out how to harness white male rage for his own ends. He went from there, then he went for Breitbart, created the alt-right, promoted people like Milo Yiannopoulos, and furthermore, he knows. He's really good at encouraging people to do violent things. One of the books, by the way, that he had promoted, and I remember talking about this in the show as well, is a racist novel called The Camp of the Saints, in which the hero, the protagonist of the book, murders feces-eating brown people, immigrants in cold blood. That's the hero of the book. Incredibly gross. This is something that he has made many references to. He's like, oh, what's happening with immigration? It must be the Camp of the Saints. Isn't that a Camp of the Saints moment? That's who Steve Bannon is. He hates immigrants. He hates diversity. He wants only white men, white males in charge. So he is a terrible person. And he is aligned with the far right. He is a member of the far right. And I do believe, based on his own admitted personal beliefs, that he would try to spur stochastic terrorism. That's spurring people into violence in order to ensure that the quote-unquote West is protected against the quote-unquote horrors of immigration. And this is what the right does, by the way. What do they endlessly fearmonger about all the time? Open borders. Open borders. Oh, the Democrat. Like, you tune into Fox News, I can guarantee you, one of the hosts is going to say, in their criticisms of Joe Biden, open borders. Do we have open borders? Tell me that we have open borders. No, of course we don't. We don't have open borders. Ridiculous. We don't have open borders. We actually used to in this country. You know, people used to be able to just come right over. That doesn't happen anymore. Because the right wing doesn't want it to happen anymore. And by the way, what's funny is that they'll use the same rhetoric, even though, of course, it doesn't make any sense. It's not true. Oh, the illegals are flooding over the border. They're flooding over the border. And they're stealing your jobs. Really? How come we have a so-called labor shortage if there's all these workers flooding in? Does that make any sense? Does that make any sense? No, of course it doesn't. It doesn't have to. It's the right wing. Now, look, as for Bannon, he's not handing over his material over to Congress, right? Well, there's got to be some punishment for that. That is contempt of Congress. If they don't punish that, then everyone else would just ignore subpoenas. So think of the precedent. If you're Merrick Garland, Department of Justice, think of the precedent that you're setting if you don't go after Bannon. If he's not put in jail. Unless he, actually... And by the way, I understand that it's pretty rare to jail somebody for contempt of Congress. I get it. They rarely ever do it. They just don't. So it's very unlikely that he's going to either pay the fine or go, be put in prison for a year in jail. You might want to do something, though, because, again, this is related to an insurrection in the Capitol. And if you don't do this, if you don't show that there are consequences here, then everyone connected will continue to ignore subpoenas unless the DOJ actually gets off their ass and does their job. Now, this indictment is a start, but you need to go a little harder, Merrick Garland, and not tiptoe around with these fascists. If you enjoyed this video, please give us a like and share with your friends. You can subscribe and help out the channel by becoming a patron. It's patreon.com/Jeff Waldorf, or you can become a channel member as well by hitting the join button below.